In this last video of Module 8, we will be investigating phylum Mollusca. Though it is only one phylum, it contains three important classes that we will investigate separately. Phylum Mollusca includes three classes that are very different, but all have the same general phylum characteristics. Phylum Mollusca contains snails, clams, octopi, squid, cuttlefish, and the extinct ammonoids and belemnites. Phylum Mollusca is the second largest animal phylum after Arthropoda. Their history extends back into the Precambrian. There are over 130,000 living species, including slugs, snails, all manner of marine shellfish such as clams, mussels, and oysters, squids, cuttlefish, and octopi. They occupy a wide range of habitats, from the abyssal depths across the continental shelves and in intertidal flats to forests, lakes, and rivers. Molluscan shells are secreted as calcium carbonate, mainly aragonite. Mollusks are unsegmented, soft-bodied animals with a general body plan based upon four features. They all have a radula, a rasping feeding organ composed of chitin, a foot, which is a sole-like structure on which the animal crawls, a visceral mass, which includes the digestive, excretory, reproductive, and circulatory organs, and a mantle, which is a sheet of tissue lying dorsally over the visceral mass that is responsible for secreting the shell. The history of class Bivalvia spans the entire Phanerozoic. There are over 4,500 genera of living bivalves, with fewer than half that number described from the fossil record. The first bivalves were shallow marine, semi-infaunal organisms. Epifaunal, deep burrowing, and boring life strategies, together with migrations to freshwater habitats, were secondary innovations. Bivalves are twin-valved shellfish like brachiopods, but there is a major difference. The valves in bivalves are equal in size, and the plane of symmetry is parallel to the opening, resulting in two valves that are mirror images. The valves are always composed of calcium carbonate, usually the aragonite form. The image on the left shows the parallel plane of symmetry, and the image on the right shows the valves are mirror images of one another. Rudists are an unusual case with the bivalves. They range in age from the late Jurassic to the late Cretaceous, and they developed a bizarre range of morphologies in such a short time. Many groups mimicked corals and are often mistaken for corals. They had unequal valves with a large attached valve and a small cap-like free valve. Rudists occupied carbonate shelves, growing together in clumps wherever the larvae settled, and were prolific reef builders for a short period of time. This is a photo of a fossilized rudist reef in Texas. Rudists are very common in many areas of Texas and the Midwest from the transgression of the shallow sea during the Cretaceous. You can see that these confused clams mimic corals or sponges. The second class of molluscans we will look at are the gastropoda. As you can see from the pictures on this slide, they live in nearly every terrestrial and aquatic environment on Earth today. Gastropods are the most varied and abundant of the molluscan classes today. The class includes the snails and slugs, and the history spans the entire Phanerozoic. Both freshwater and marine species, as well as terrestrial species, exist, with shells that are usually aragonite but can also be calcite. The process of torsion is characteristic of gastropods. Torsion is a process whereby the mantle cavity, which contains the visceral mass containing the gills and anus, excretory and reproductive openings, twists around and ends up lying above the head of the animal. This is done by a 180-degree rotation where the head and the foot remain fixed. Now, the coiling of the shell is not in any way related to torsion, and secondary reversal of the original torsion may occur in some groups. The advantages of the body plan arrangement created by torsion are unclear and still a source of ongoing investigation. The last class of mollusks we will investigate are the cephalopods, the most advanced of the mollusks and of the invertebrates in general. The photos you see here are some of the living cephalopods, including the nautilus, squid, cuttlefish, and the octopi. There are also two extinct groups pictured here, the belemnites and the ammonoids. Cephalopod, which means head-footed, are the most highly organized of the mollusks. They are adapted for a carnivorous, predatory lifestyle with a well-defined head, a foot that has been modified into tentacles, a well-developed nervous system, high metabolic and high mobility rates, sharp eyesight, and an advanced brain. Modern cephalopods belong to two groups. The nautiloids, with 5 modern species, have external coiled shells, thin internal mantles, and nearly 100 fine tentacles. The colloids have internal shells, thick external mantles, and include the squids, cuttlefish, and the 8 tentacled octopods, which have lost their skeleton. 3 subclasses further divide the cephalopods. The nautiloidea, with simple sutures ranging from the late Cambrian to today, the ammonoidea, with coiled, commonly ribbed external shells and complex sutures, ranged from the early Devonian to late Cretaceous, and the colloidea, with straight or coiled internal skeletons, which range from the Carboniferous to today. Most information about the nautiloids comes from the study of modern analogs. Modern nautiloids are nocturnal, nectobenthonic carnivores and scavengers. Their shell arrangement is simple, but fossil nautiloids developed a wide range of morphologies, as you can see in the bottom row of diagrams in this illustration. In ammonoids, the sutures are a complex pattern of lobes and saddles that are often frilled, as you can see in the pattern of the ammonoid in the photo. The 5 main sutural types that are recognized are orthoceratidic, found mainly in nautiloids from late Cambrian to late Triassic; agoniatidic, related to sutures from early to mid-Devonian; goniatidic, related to sutures from late Devonian to Permian ammonoids; ceratidic, related to predominantly Triassic ammonoids; and ammonitic sutures, related to Jurassic and Cretaceous period ammonoids. The illustration shows how ammonoid suture patterns became more complex through time. Think about Lamarck's observation on how life forms seem to evolve from simple to more complex forms. Ammonoid sutures are so distinctive that this is how paleontologists determine the different species. Each species evolved its own distinctive pattern. Theoretically, all ammonoids could adjust their attitude and buoyancy in the water column by filling their chambers with gas or fluid. Most were probably part of the mobile benthos, though after death their gas-filled shells could be distributed by ocean currents. Shell types have been related to life modes and environments, and the consistent co-occurrence of large and small similarly ornamented shells at specific horizons suggests sexual dimorphism. Ammonoid heteromorphs with bizarre shell shapes, as seen in this illustration, first appeared during the Devonian, but were particularly significant in late Triassic and late Cretaceous faunas. They were both nectobenthonic and pelagic. The shell forms may have actually been adaptations to better compete with other groups at their time period. The subclass Colloidea contains the cuttlefish, squids, and octopoids. They have a single pair of gills within the mantle cavity. Living colloid orders have a poor fossil record because they have few, if any, hard parts. The skeletons of extinct belemnites are abundant in Jurassic and Cretaceous rocks. Belemnites had an internal skeleton versus the exoskeletons of the shelled cephalopods. The soft parts are occasionally preserved if they are buried very quickly. The photo on the left is a spectacularly preserved belemnite. You can see the outline of the animal and the 6 tentacles with their hooks preserved, as well as some of the internal organs. We know from these fossils that belemnites had ink sacs similar to today's squid and octopi. The illustration on the right is a labeled diagram of a belemnite. By analogy with modern squids, belemnites were probably fast-moving predators living in shoals. Their body level was probably regulated by the guard, which is the heavy internal skeleton, allowing them to maintain a horizontal attitude within the water column. And they probably preferred open ocean waters. We have found areas, deposits that are termed belemnite battlefields. They are accumulations of belemnites that reflect the behavioral biology of the animals. Just as modern squid experience, the belemnite deposits represent post-spawning mortalities or catastrophic mass mortalities and predation concentrates where predators died and the hard parts of the belemnites became fossilized stomach contents, or predators had to regurgitate the undigested hard parts periodically. This is the end of Lecture 8. In the next lecture, we will begin to explore the Paleozoic era in greater detail, looking not only at biologic evolution, but geologic evolution as well, and the ties between them.